Clone drone in the danger zone. You probably know what it is, and if you don't, I made a video covering it. In this video, I'll be going over tips and tricks for each weapon in the game. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Now let's get into it. The first weapon I will be covering is the sword. It is a very basic weapon to use and easy to master. The sword has two different swinging styles. You have the basic downward slash that you can use by either standing still and swinging it, or walking forwards and backwards and swinging it. There is also the horizontal slash that can be used by walking either left or right and swinging. Both of these can be used while jumping as well. While using the sword, you almost never want to use a downward slash unless you are above an enemy and slash down onto them. The reason for this is because a basic forward slash is easy for one of the bots to deflect if they are using a sword, and it also leaves you open for a spear attack. Most of the times, you will find yourself using a horizontal slash during your playthrough. While doing a horizontal slash, it is important to keep your momentum by swinging side to side to minimize your chances of being hit. And while doing a horizontal slash, you can turn your camera to make it sweep more ground. While buying upgrades for the sword, I recommend buying Fire Sword and then Arrow Deflect, and continuing the pattern throughout the upgrade tree. This is because it will even out all the stats. The reason why I say Fire Sword is because in the first couple of levels, there will only be a couple of archers, and their arrows are pretty easy to dodge. The next weapon is the Spear. The spear can be difficult to use if you don't know what you're doing. The first thing that you should know is that the spear only has one attack option, which is a stab. This has a very small hitbox, so you need to be precise and aim with it. Sadly, you cannot swing the spear all willy-nilly and expect it to hit an enemy. While using the spear, you always want to keep a distance from enemies, because if you get surrounded in a corner, there's almost nothing you can do. You also need to be aware of the distance of which your spear can reach, which is tricky to figure out at first, but once you get the hang of it, it is a piece of cake. When you are using the spear, you always want to aim for the part of the robot that is unprotected or without armor. For instance, if a kick bot is coming at you, you would want to go for a leg or the head. If you remove a body part that renders the enemy unable to move or attack, then they will die. Now, onto upgrades. When buying upgrades for the spear, you want to put Flame Spear first. Flame Spear is overpowered. It one-hits most enemies, and they will be dead because of how fast the fire spreads. Next is the shields, and then Shield Bash. However, for Shield Bash, you will need to have bought Kick first. I usually buy Kick right after the shields and then get Shield Bash immediately after, so that I'm not wasting any time. Next is the hammer. The hammer has two attack types that work exactly like the swords: downward smash and vertical swing. The hammer acts like a heavy sword and follows about the same principles and usages as it. The hammer is a heavy weapon that can one-shot all enemies that don't have any armor. One thing that you must be aware of while using the hammer is that it takes longer to swing than other weapons. The hammer comes with 3 different sizes as well. You have the starter size, the medium size, and the large size. I recommend getting the first 2 hammer sizes and then getting Flame Hammer. I used to have all the upgrades, but my cloud got obstructed when I got a new computer, so all my progress is lost. But before, when I used Flame Hammer, it was amazing. If your hit somehow didn't kill an enemy, the fire will spread and eventually will. After then, I would get the final hammer size. Last but not least is the bow. The bow is, well, a basic bow, an arrow, that require precise aiming and timing to hit your enemy. The bow requires a lot of stamina, so I recommend buying stamina upgrades while buying your bow upgrades. The bow comes with 2 arrow upgrades that I recommend you get at the start to increase your chances of hitting an enemy. Then, I would get flame arrows, which again, I lost due to corrupted game files. But the flame arrows go through almost everything and can easily one-shot enemies. The reason why I'm saying to not get time stop upgrades until the last is because they consume a lot of stamina to use. Overall, I personally don't like the time stop because of this. And most importantly, you always want to keep a safe distance from enemies while using the bow. If you get backed up into a corner, the only thing that you can do is spray and pray. Finally, if you are having trouble killing an enemy, you should walk around in a big circle while shooting at it until it's dead. The important thing is that the weapon that you pick as your main depends on your playstyle and how you plan to enjoy the game. Remember that there is no right option and the only one that you like. Personally, my favorite weapon is the spear, but I know a lot of other people that hate it. It all just depends on what your do's and don'ts are for the game. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.